implemented a carbon tax, that could possibly be a changing factor of a lot of these companies, whether they stay alive or not. Because
adapt or die.
and I agree.
It's because these corporations are entrenched.
Yeah.
They suck at what they don't know what they're doing. They suck at this. They're not reading the terrain, and like they're getting a lot of money. Like the fossil fuel industry makes a lot of money. They get a lot of subsidies. They're in bed with all the legislators. These are very entrenched. This is a very entrenched industry that's been around for a long time, and it takes a lot to move them, and they're moving very slowly. And this is why Tesla has been so instrumental. Is like Elon Musk has managed with a whole lot of luck. It's not just because he's a smart dude who works hard. There's a lot of luck involved in this too. Has managed to come out up front and force the hands of all of this of vehicle manufacturers and the fossil fuel industry, kind of fossil fuel industry. And like, look, I want competition too. Competition's great, but like, we also need to allow dead companies to die. This is just like a thing that I see generally, which is like companies that have been around for a long time that no longer have their original founders tend to become really crappy, right? So let me flip the script. Companies that are young and have their original founders tend to be very mission focused. Like, it's not about the profits. It's about why I started the company in the first place and the problem that I'm trying to solve in the world, right? So like Tesla, for example, accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy, right? SpaceX making like multiplanetary, right? And they're not the only ones, right? A local restaurant that is like, I want to feed my community, right? It's like the founders of the company tend to be very mission focused, but then over time, when they retire, when they leave the companies, they're replaced by, all the original founders that leave the company, they're replaced by all these like business types and hedge fund, these investors and all this other crap that don't care about the mission. They only care about making money. And so when they're no longer focused on the mission, they're only focused on making money. Well, one of the ways that they found that they can make money is they can just lobby Congress to write them checks. And it's like, that's not competition. That's not how capitalism is supposed to work. If you're a fan of capitalism, that's not how capitalism is supposed to work. The government is not supposed to write checks to corporations. Corporations suck at what it's doing. You're supposed to let it die, because somebody else will come along and take over.
Yeah.
And like, that's what I think needs to happen. You need to let these crappy companies that aren't going to continue living because the public conscience is shifting. Stop giving them subsidies and let them die, right? And take this approach of the planet is dying. Cap and trade, I think, is better than a carbon tax. Because then you're actually limiting the amount of carbon that gets emitted. But it's like, let these companies either need to adapt or die, and it's up to them. And if they die, then we're going to see Rivians and we're going to see Lucids coming on the line with brand new, with better vehicles that are sustainable. Their whole supply chain is sustainable. They're building infrastructure and power and chargers that run on completely sustainable energy. Like, let the old guard die and let the new guys come in and take over.
Yeah.
That's my feelings on it.